What's up there, SEO pros? Welcome back to part 7 of the National SEO Guide. Today we're going to be covering site structure and architecture. So if you're liking this series so far, let me know in the comments. Most people watch these videos, but then they don't leave a comment or any questions or anything. Would be interested in hearing some feedback on what you guys like about the course so far, or maybe what you don't like. But anyways, today, more specifically, we're covering URL structure, site-wide on-page issues, Screaming Frog with conditional formatting, indexation using site operators, what to look out for, status codes, 301s, 302s, 404s, 410s, and then SEO auditing. So actually, I'm going to make SEO auditing another section because this whole site architecture and structure thing is going to be its own specific section because these both sections are going to take a little bit of time on their own, and I don't want to put all of them in one video. So either way, let's go over URL structure first. So what does a good URL look like? This is what a lot of people ask me. They say, what do I need to put in my URL path in order to rank well? So if this is kind of a loaded question, I think in most cases, as long as you're not over stuffing your keywords in your URL and like making the URL like 10 words long per file path, you're going to be fine. So what do I mean by that? Let's go into Notepad. So obviously this is your homepage. We'll just say website.com. And let's just say the other page on your website is website.com/services. So these are the different services you offer. Now, if you have different types of services and you want to categorize those, it might make sense to be like, okay, SEO services. And then say, for instance, you offer social media. So then you would have social media services. And the reason I look at URLs like this or URL structure is because I just look at it for more of a category. How am I going to categorize where I'm at on the site? So when I go and look at analytics or Search Console, it's a lot easier to see what's going on within this certain structure versus just having one URL per file path. So just be like website.com / Facebook marketing, right? That's really hard when you have a bunch of different services to look at through analytics or through Search Console when you're looking at silos of content and how it's doing. It's also hard from a crawling perspective to go straight from the website and then to the one level down versus having a couple levels down where the crawler is going to be able to see, okay, look, this is the home page, this goes into the multiple services, and then these are the services under this parent structure. So again, if you're going to be only doing, let's say, 5 services, it doesn't really make sense to have so many different types of services within the URL structure. But if you're going to have, let's say, 5 SEO services, 5 social media services, whatever else, then it makes sense to put what your actual services are in the URL structure. And even if you don't have that many different services, sometimes it's still a good idea to categorize what types of services you offer within the actual URL structure, even if it's, just 3 different types of SEO services. So anyways, make sure you definitely categorize what you're doing in terms of services and as well as products, right? So website.com / products. And you could have, if you wanted to as well, SEO products, social media products. You could also do it this way if you wanted. You could do products / SEO / name of SEO product. But I think generally it's better unless you're going to be doing, maybe like thousands of products, to keep the URL path sort of clean like this, where it's going to lead into what people are going to be expecting. But again, products are a little bit different. If you have, which some people do have, thousands of products on their site, it might make more sense to categorize it this way. Again, it really has to do with how you're categorizing your actual structure on your site. What are these pages actually going to look like, right? Is this products page going to list all of the products on your site page by page, and then or all of the categories, and then these are going to just list all of the SEO products. Sorry, I'm having a hard time explaining this. Let me go into Paint. So if your URL structure was home, and then it went to products, and then you know that you're going to have all of your SEO products underneath that, right? SEO. Then this page is going to look like a product page that probably has your top products and then all of your categories underneath. So SEO, social media, so on and so on. The difference is if you have a home page and you have, let's say, SEO products, that's just going to list out everything that's an SEO product and then go into the actual products themselves, right? So the reason why you'd probably do products / SEO and have all the different categories is if you had a massive site full of products, right? In terms of services, you probably wouldn't have as many, so it probably makes more sense just to have, SEO service and then social media service, so on and so on. But again, you could do both, right? You could have your services page in general. Let me just show you this. So you could have, like how I have it, where I have SEO services. This could actually just be services, and then it could have all the different services within here. So it could be social media services, SEO services, and then web design services, and then all of those could have drop downs as well. But it might be easier just to have SEO services, social media, and then not have to have another parent page, because again, if you have all these parent pages where you're like, okay, service, website.com /services / social media services, and then name of service, or sorry, social media and the name of service, you're starting to put a lot in there versus just having like 2 levels down. But again, it comes down to how much you want to categorize what you're doing. And at the end of the day, there really isn't a perfect structure. Perfect structure, really, in my opinion, is looking and seeing what's working for other people, right? So if we go into, let's say, social media services, most people are probably going to have, social media marketing service. Let's do packages. Most of these people you see only have like 1 level down, or they'll have 2 levels down, right? Like plans pricing, there it is, 1 level down, pricing, 1 level down. So again, just because they have 1 level down doesn't mean that they're doing it absolutely correctly. But at the end of the day, you're generally wanting to go for something like this, where it's like, the type of service you're offering, and then that, not needing to go like 3 or 4 levels down just to get to that point. So this is kind of a long-winded explanation, but I hope you kind of get what I'm saying. You can categorize it however you want, but at the end of the day, it's probably best to stick with something like this if you're going to be doing services, and then maybe something like this if you're going to be doing products. All right. Or if you have thousands of pages on your website under that architecture. Okay, so next we have site-wide on-page issues. So this is within the actual audit template that you guys have. This is something that's really easy to do. What you can do is you can actually use Screaming Frog, which is a tool we're going to talk a little bit more about in the later part of the series. But in the audit template, you'll see it says site-wide on-page issues. And in here, you can see all of the different things that need to be fixed in terms of image alt tags missing, image file URLs, whatever's going on with these. So if you want a more specific tutorial on like what's actually going on with these, like how to figure out if these are good or bad, go watch this video. But to identify these problems really quickly, all you have to do is get Screaming Frog, which is a free software up to 500 URLs. You're going to open it up. You're going to crawl a site. You're going to do chaserender.com. Press start. Okay. So once it's done crawling, I'm just going to stop it now. I'm going to filter by HTML. I'm going to press export, and then I'm going to export all this internal HTML. So I'll go type in internal HTML, grab that document. Oops, that was the wrong one. Internal HTML. There it is. And the cool thing about the template that you guys have is you can just copy this into your template. So if we go into Drive, go into the templates, roadmap, template copy, bring it in here, and then bring it into Screaming Frog. What it'll do, let me just go like that, copy, paste, is it'll tell us if anything is below a certain length, it's red, or if it's above a certain length, it's red, right? Same thing with status codes. If you have 404s, that's red, meaning it's bad, right? Same thing with meta description. So instead of you needing to guess, what's good or what's bad, this will all just highlight it with conditional formatting and tell you what you need to fix, right? Yellow kind of means, what you need to look at. But this is how you can quickly identify on-page issues. Now, if you have hundreds of URLs, that's going to be a little bit different, right? Because you're going to think, well, what do I do first? So the way I do that is I go through Search Console and I look at the top 20 pages first. So I go into here, I look at the performance, make sure to turn all those on, and I go by pages. Now here I can see all of the top pages on my site. Now, if any of these pages are within this, right? So I see the home page here, right here. Actually, that's the redirected one. Title, meta description length, green, all that's green. Green. Okay, that all looks good. Okay, looks good. Now, one of the other things too is if you have Google Analytics and Search Console, I would recommend grabbing or syncing that with Screaming Frog as well. And the way you can do that is just go to Configuration, API Access, Google Analytics. You're going to connect your account. Make sure you're on the right property. Press OK. Do it again for Search Console. Oops. All right. Boom. Connect. There it is. Make sure this is the right version. Now, if I re-crawl with that now, what it'll actually give me is it'll give me all of the Google Analytics related data as well. So let me just copy all that. I'll just do a new export. Internal HTML. I need to close it before I do the new export because I don't want it to mess up. Okay, do it again. Press yes. And we'll copy all that. Bring it over. Plug it back in. It's loading. There we go. So now if I go over here, I don't know why this got put in. Oh, this must have been a different export. Sorry, let me grab the other one. I keep doing internal all instead of internal HTML. Grab that. There we go. And if we go over to Google Analytics, we have conditional formatting here as well. So if the bounce rate is above a certain percentage, we know to optimize that. If the goal conversion rate is below a certain percentage, below 1.5%, I think, it gives you a red, meaning that you need to go and do conversion rate optimization. If the clicks and the impressions are below a certain number, it'll also put in red. So that's how you know to focus on certain things based on analytics data. So this is sort of just an intro to benchmarking. It gets a little bit more in detail on how you actually go do these things. There's a conversion rate optimization, click-through rate optimization, all that stuff, which we'll talk a little bit more later. But you guys already know a little bit around the basics in terms of click-through rate optimization because we talked about it, I believe, in the last video. But this is how you can quickly use the template that you got with the course to go and quickly find on-page, site-wide on-page issues, and then do it by priority based off Search Console. All right. So we'll talk again more about how to do prioritization a little bit later, but that's what you're going to do there. So next we have indexation. So this is something that's really important to look at before you're doing SEO. So if we look at this section right here, again, you can click on watch how to do this and see more specifically how to fix and identify these different problems. But the biggest thing that you need to understand around this is that when you're looking at a site, you want to make sure that there isn't a bunch of junk being indexed on it. So how do you tell that? Well, a quick way to do that is just go into Search Console, go look at your pages, and then see how many pages out of the ones you have indexed are receiving below or 0 clicks, right? If all of these are receiving 0 clicks, then they're probably not optimized properly, or they're just pages that you have on there for user experience, which, that's fine if that's true. But in the most part, some of these pages like, affiliate home, deluxe package SEO coaching level 3, those are things that don't necessarily need to be indexed. So another way to look at this is just go to site : name of site. And this will actually show you what's being indexed on Google. And if you go through this, like look at this, layouts, Chase Reiner, this is a page that does not need to be indexed. These are just layouts, right? So if I go press view page source and I type in no index, you can see there's no index tag there. So I need to make sure I no index that. Now, how do you no index something? Well, with the Yoast plugin that we're going to talk about later, this will actually give you the ability to just go in here into advanced, press no, and now the page is no indexed. So something that you really want to look at when you're actually going and doing SEO is to look at what's being indexed first. Because if there's a bunch of junk on this website being indexed, or you can see here, all these pages with the same exact title tags at the end, you want to fix stuff like that. But again, to go into indexation in more detail, watch this video in the roadmap. You'll get a better analysis of actually how to find and identify problems with these things and what to actually get rid of and what to keep. Cool. All right. So next we have site operators. I kind of just showed you a brief overview of that. All you have to do really is what I use the most is site : Chase Reiner. Another cool one is to do minus site, meaning anything that has this site, take it away from Google's index. See that? Nothing there. And then you're going to do plus anything that says Chase Reiner. So now we have a list of all the things that say Chase Reiner that isn't from my website. So if you guys want to get more site operators that I recommend you actually guys do go look at, here's a list if you just type in site operators that you can actually go and see all the different things that you can do. So if you want to look for things with certain things in URLs or in anchor text or titles, so on and so on. You can do that with these different site operators. Cool. So next we have what to look out for. So again, what to look out for really has to do with the audit, which we're going to cover in the next section. So I'm going to skip that one from now. But for status codes, here's a couple simple ones you need to know about. 301s, 302s, 404s, 410s. So 301 is a permanent redirect. That's what you're going to use to redirect one page to another page. If you do redirect a page to another page, you end up passing any links that go to that page to the new page, but they actually get diluted a little bit in terms of their value. If you do end up doing a 301 redirect from one page to another, you want to make sure that you end up changing the absolute URL on all the other pages on the website. So for instance, if you have a page that's being linked within your menu, and you change the URL of that, but it doesn't get changed within the menu, you want to make sure to change the link within the menu so that it is pointing to the absolute URL. And the way you identify these issues, you can do within Screaming Frog just by seeing if there's any 301s or 404s from these pages. Or you can go into something called Broken Link Checker, and it'll let you actually scan your site for 301s or 404s and help redirect those. Or point them to the absolute URLs. So again, we're going to talk about this in more detail in the tools section. But another thing that you can use is 410s or 404s, which a 404 is a temporary page. So temporarily unavailable. So if you delete a page, it's actually better to make it a 410, which is a permanently unavailable, so that Google knows to remove it and not wait around for it to come back and crawl it again later, because you don't want to waste your crawl budget. So the way you do that is you get a plugin called 410s, I believe. Let me find it. Settings, 410 for WordPress, and then this will actually take your 404s and change them to 410s, which is really nice. And 302s are temporary redirects, so that's what you would use if the site is temporarily redirecting to another page, or it's not actually a permanent address, and you're going to change it later to maybe a permanent 301, or just take out the 302 altogether. From some of the other status codes, 500 errors are server errors, so that's what you need to look out for if, for instance, anything's going on with your server. 200 errors or 200 codes are just meaning that the site's doing fine and that it's resolving successfully. And then 100 errors I've never even seen are informational. I don't know. But yeah, that's all you kind of need to know. We're going to talk about duplicate content and 404s and 301s and canonical tags and what you need to do around that stuff in another part of this course. But now you guys kind of have an intro on site-wide on-page SEO and indexation and all the stuff we talked about, Screaming Frog and conditional formatting. So in the next one, we will cover auditing in more detail and actually going through and auditing an entire site so you can see how that's getting done. So that's it for today. Hope to see you guys in the next one. And until I do, happy SEOing.